Hello, everybody. Here at 744 Ostrom for the pregame version of On the Beat. I'm here with my fellow beat writers Tony Olivero and Brett LoGiurato, and we're just going to break down a couple of key points for the Louisville-Syracuse game this Saturday. First off, just want to mention Syracuse at 6-2. Obviously, one win away from being bowl eligible. It's the first time, guys, that this has happened in a while here at Syracuse. So what exactly does this mean for Syracuse, and how important is this that they get this win here and not like obviously down the road?
Yeah, I think they all realize, and Doug Hoke said it yesterday, Andrew Lewis said it yesterday, that it's in the back of their heads. They're still trying to maintain this mentality, which I truly feel is ingrained in this team, that every game's on its own, and that's how they're approaching it. But if they win, they're going to secure a bowl bid for the first time since 2004, the earliest time in the season since 2001 where they got to 10 wins. So, it is what the game's about. They could say whatever they want to say. They could, talk about whatever they want to talk, but when it comes down to it, it's you win and you're in. And, that's huge for this city, huge for this program, huge for everybody involved. So, it's been a while. I'm not sure if it's the only player, but talking to Andrew Lewis yesterday, he might be the only player, the only person other than maybe Hal Luther, William Hicks, and some of those guys who have been around, who were here in 2004, the last time they went to a bowl. So, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how the fans react and what kind of support they get in the Carrier Dome, because that is the story of the game, no matter what Doug Marrone is going to say publicly, and no matter what these players are going to say. They might have that mindset, but the story is if they win, they're in, the bowl's going to come. So, that's the overarching theme right now, to me at least.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big game. It would mean that the goal is fulfilled for the season. All the preseason talk was bowl or bust. At the same time, though, it's really not that big now. It's funny how things change so fast, because Syracuse has 4 games left. They're 4 winnable games, and they could be in the hunt for even a BCS game, and at least the number 2 spot in Orlando. So, it's funny how there's kind of it's big, just considering the history of this program and how fast it has grown in Doug Marrone's tenure here.
Yeah. We mentioned it 3 or 4 weeks ago, where the thing that we wrote in the paper was the time is now. Coming off I think it was the win over USF.
Mm-hmm.
It was they're going through this 3 or 4 game stretch where, hey, if you win this game, then all of a sudden you're leapfrogging here. If you win this game, you're leapfrogging here. And if you get, then now all of a sudden it played out that way, where the time was now, and all of a sudden this early in the season the time is now to secure a bowl. So I think it was It played out, I guess, the way we thought it would play out.
Guys, each of the last 2 weeks, Syracuse obviously went to the run game early and rode that to victory against West Virginia and Cincinnati on the road. You guys see them doing a little bit of that this week against a team that has really struggled to stop the run, but has also had some success when they are able to control the clock. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, talking to Ryan Nassib, post game in Cincinnati, there are a lot of questions about why in these last games you only tally whatever it was, X amount of yards. I think he had 125 last week, and to him he was saying all this is what works, and that's what I'm here for, and I'm here to play a role. And at this point in the season with this team, seeing how well DeLon Carter and Antoine Bailey ran, even though it's only down to the 2 of them now with Prince Tyson Goliath with mono, it is what they're going to do again this week. So don't expect anything different. They might go back to that kind of big formation again. It's worked on these last 2 weeks. And expect a lot of carries for DeLon and a lot of carries for Antoine, even though they're the only 2 backs who are going to get time. I foresee it going that way, just with how well Louisville's pass defense has played, with Charlie Strong coming in. And again, unless SU gets down early, kind of in the situation they had against Pitt, SU doesn't want another Pitt to happen where they're going to have to force Ryan Nassib throwing the ball against a pretty solid pass D.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Louisville's most porous component of their defense is the linebacking core. I think none of their linebackers have more than 28 tackles, which is compared to Doug Hogue and Darrell Smith, who have almost 60 each, and Darrell Smith has 63. It's just a totally different world there. But yeah, just to go into the Louisville pass defense, the 13th ranked in the country, is just another I guess, test for Ryan Nassib, and I think that will just, make Syracuse go to the run more. But, it'll be interesting to see if Louisville gets ahead early and keeps that up, if what Ryan Nassib can do, can he stretch the field with Van Schu, who's been explosive at times, can he step up and do that? But, at least until Louisville takes a lead or whatever, it'll be a run-heavy attack from SU.
And, of course, one of the big storylines coming into this game for Louisville, at least, is they'll be without Froman and Powell, two of their most prolific offensive players, and both of them appear to be game-time decisions. How big of a factor is that in this game? Does it make a difference?
It's just funny how 2 weeks in a row, after Zach Claris was out for Cincinnati and they had Chaz Anderson going in there, not putting up a good performance. It could be the same case yet again, and maybe even double that same case with Froman out and Powell out. I mean, for the casual fans, Powell is the number 1 running back in the Big East, 126 yards a game, number 5 in the nation, and even against this SU defense, which has been playing very well, he is going to be a formidable opponent. So he has swelling there in his right knee, and Froman has that thigh bruise, so it will hinder this team. And I think that leads into our predictions where, all 3 of us are picking SU. But it's just funny how, for the second week in a row, SU's kind of getting off the hook a little bit just with what they can provide fully. Just getting back to what you mentioned with the linebackers, at Big East Media Day this past summer, that was something that the Louisville linebackers, the defense said was, we took a tally last year, and DeLon Carter was the hardest guy to bring down last year in the Big East out of all of the backs, Noel Devine, every back in the Big East. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach DeLon in this game. And I guess just prediction-wise, what do you guys got?
I have SU 31, Louisville 13. I don't think Powell's going to play, and even if he does, he'll be really limited. Charlie Strong said this week that he was going to evaluate on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, which doesn't really sound good. So, for the second straight week, you have to take into account that SU is being a team without its best player and best weapon. And when you have a top 5, running back in the nation, that's a big, factor in the game. But since I don't expect him to play, I think SU will, kind of run away with this game at the end.
Yeah, and I think that having Froman and Powell out will ultimately be a big time factor in this game. And I think that even if they do play, they probably won't be at quite 100%, and obviously that plays into SU's favor. I do think SU will win. My prediction is 30-17, and I just think that Syracuse has a lot of momentum going. Obviously, 2 big wins on the road coming in to this game, and I think that they'll be able to feed off that momentum, and they'll be able to get a little help from the home crowd.
Yeah, I think the difference is, when we mentioned the time is now for this team with this recent stretch they're in, when the time was now for the Pittsburgh game, there weren't, I think, the lessons learned that needed to be there. And after these 2 games against Cincinnati and WVU, I think they're, kind of down to earth. Doug Rono was always saying this nose to the grindstone thing, and I think that is what they're doing. So I think the lessons are learned, and they're going to secure the bowl. My prediction 24-10. If Powell's out, it's going to be tough for Louisville to even get to those 10 points. But with Powell who might be injury hindered, 10 points I think is around where Louisville's going to be. And DeLon Carter, I think, against these Louisville guys who have said he's the hardest Big East running back to take down, I think he's going to have a better performance than he even did last week in Cincinnati.
All right, well, that's it for this pregame version of On the Beat. Brett and I will be there on Saturday to provide all the coverage from Twitter and from stories, post-game feedback, and things like that. We'll be able to provide that for you. If be sure to check back dailyorange.com, and we'll have all that for you. Until next time, for Brett and Tony, we'll see you next time.